dive into some of the action in a jam-packed Week 8 in the NFL. The Packers picked up a win over the Steelers 35-25 as Jordan Love outlasted Aaron Rodgers, throwing for 360 yards and 3 TDs. Elsewhere in the state of PA, the Eagles avenged their Week 6 loss to the Giants in a 38-20 win yesterday. Jalen Hurts, 4 touchdowns as Philly picked up their 6th win of the season. Our buddy Peter Schrager joins us live from Kansas City. I'll see you there in a little bit, Schrags, where he'll be covering the Monday Night Football game tonight. Okay, listen, Cam, I'm going to start with you because who's the bigger threat in the NFC, the Packers or the Eagles?
It's definitely the Eagles. It's not even close. I think Nick Sirianni has done an amazing job over these last couple of years with eliminating or trying to eliminate any type of distractions. And when you think about what he has, not only just the most skillful, roster in all of football with the dynamic that he has, he's had Democratic leaders, right? The Jalen Hurts of the world. I mean, he's a polished individual. Saquon Barkley, polished individual. Devontae Smith, polished individual. And now when you see a guy like A.J. Brown and the things that he has, obviously been outspoken about, those things, when you talk about Coach Nick Sirianni, has been able to manage that. And looking back at what Green Bay was doing last night really gives question, if it was versus a different defense, would they have been able to be as successful as they were? Not to take anything away from Jordan Love. I'm not saying that. But when you're comparing the two, there's other teams that I may be high on other than the Green Bay Packers. I'm thinking of the Detroit Lions. I'm thinking of the Seattle Seahawks. I'm thinking of the Los Angeles Rams. These more complete teams than what the Pittsburgh Steelers possess to Green Bay will be something that I will want to see more so than the Green Bay and the Pittsburgh Steelers issue.
Well, it sounds like we're talking about Sirianni because he's managing a lot of egos there, Cam, and that's the reason why they're the better team. To me, I look at the Packers. They all seem to get along. It's kumbaya. I'll take that team. They're ascending. I'm watching last night in that second half. Their defense absolutely silenced Aaron Rodgers and that Steelers offense. And we talk about whether halftime adjustments matter or not. And a lot of times we overdo that and say, well, in the locker room, there's really not that much time to really make adjustments. Well, whatever happened at halftime, the Packers came out. They absolutely silenced the defense. And then the offense went up and down the field. They scored on every single possession. The Packers are a team that's ascending. The Eagles, I respect them, and I have them still as the team I picked before the season to go to the Super Bowl. I feel like every week we're talking about it as if it's a soap opera, and it's a lot. And now they beat the Giants 38-20. You understand the Giants were undermanned. The Giants are not exactly the 2000 Ravens on defense. We understand all that. The Packers, with all the things going into this game, with Rodgers' return, with it being in Pittsburgh, with the first half not going perfectly, they found a way to not only look good, they dominated Pittsburgh in that second half. I look at Jeff Hafley, the defensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers, and it's not just Micah Parsons, who, by the way, was unblockable when he was triple covered on that sack, but it's all 3 levels and they play in unison. I like that there's tension in Philly sometimes. I think it elevates those guys and it's a bit of a us against the world deal. Packers, I'll take a team that loves each other and it's ascending at the right time, and there seems to be no egos and no issues. Everyone's on the same page. Let me roll with those guys from this point on.
I'm going to roll with Peter on this one, but by default. What I mean by that, Cam, is the questions that we have about the Philadelphia Eagles. How does that go away with one game? A.J. Brown didn't play. What about when he comes back? Saquon Barkley had his first 100-yard rushing game of the season and his first carry for more than 20 yards in the same game. Is that going to continue? Saw him pull his hamstring, if I remember correctly. Was that his hamstring, Cam? Peter, was that his hamstring that he tweaked or whatever?
Yes, A.J. Brown.
Right, so yes. Yeah. So we got to, I'm not talking about A.J., I was talking about Saquon because I know A.J. But what I'm saying is that we've got to wonder about that with them as well. Now, Jalen Hurts got 15 touchdowns and just 1 interception in the last 6 games. And we got to give him some love and praise and recognize what he brings to the table as a reigning Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl MVP. But the Eagles' defense, even though it's not trash, it hasn't been what we're accustomed to seeing it. They had 5 sacks yesterday from 5 different players. They seem to have figured something out. But we also got to pay attention to the Giants and who they are and what their capabilities or lack thereof are at this particular juncture in time to measure that as well. All I'm saying is that as we look at Green Bay, although I'm not going to sit up there and act like it's the biggest deal in the world that they ripped apart the Steelers defense in the second half, I'm still going to recognize the fact that Jordan Love is skilled. Kraft is a stud. We got to pay attention to what this brother brings at the tight end spot. The brother was impressive, and he's been impressive for a while now. You know, we don't talk about him the way we talk about Travis Kelce, George Kittle, and these brothers, but Kraft can ball. Okay, you got Josh Jacobs out of the backfield. You got these cats that can run, that can do some things, and then of course they got some name brands on defense that can get to the quarterback. I can't summarily dismiss it. I think that I'm answering this question in favor of the Packers because we've been mentioning too much noise about the Philadelphia Eagles and their chemistry and togetherness. And I think the jury is still out on that, even though they're obviously the reigning defending Super Bowl champions.
Okay, thank you. Now, Stephen A. Smith, I don't like this, Stephen A. Smith. You weaning off me, you know what I'm saying? Because now you made a left turn. And I'm going to tell you why. Yesterday, Peter, I'm working on your middle name. Just be patient with me, brother. Peter,
yours is Jarrell. Yours is Jarrell. Cameron
yes,
Jarrell. Just so you know.
Yes, but Peter, you and Stephen Anthony are both jumping to the conclusion of realizing that versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, it was almost as if we went online to try to get a 5-star vacation with the likes of a DK Metcalf and supporting cast and end up getting a Jet 2 holiday. That one right there is when you start to see, oh my God, what DK Metcalf was supposed to be. There has been an issue in Pittsburgh. No receiver is able to consistently separate or create separation. And it's extremely frustrating. And Aaron Rodgers is now seeing that. I've said it since day one. The Pittsburgh Steelers issue is that do they have enough amenities? That has not changed. Now going to the Philadelphia Eagles with Nick Sirianni. We're acting as if Nick Sirianni has not been accustomed to toxicity over the last 18 months. Why do you say that, Cam? Well, isn't this the same coach that literally took it upon himself to check a fan mid-game? Isn't this the coach that made the executive decision to say, hey, Saquon, you're having the best year of your career and probably more than any other running back in the last 10 years. Okay, we don't want you to get that record. We have bigger things on our – sit down. Hey, A.J. Brown is on the sideline looking like he's visiting the local school and reading to the children, for Christ's sake. Nick Sirianni limited all those issues and still won the Super Bowl. So this is the same person. He's able to still operate in a toxic environment, and he understands that. That's not an issue here. The issue is really saying, are we jumping to a conclusion for the Green Bay Packers just because they beat the Pittsburgh Steelers? No, they were who we thought they were. And on the other hand, Philadelphia is definitely the team that has been able to produce more than ever.
Cameron Jarrell, no can do. No can do. Okay, nice try. Here's the deal. Last year's version is not this year's version. First of all, the Philadelphia Eagles don't look as formidable as they did last year. Last year, Saquon was running for over 2,000 yards. And everybody was a bit deferential because we were seeing a level of greatness that is rare, that was on rarefied air before, okay? So that's number one. You're talking about the Eric Dickersons and O.J. Simpsons and other people like that in terms of their 2,000-yard rushing season and stuff. Saquon was just absolutely spectacular. That hasn't been the case this year. That's number one. Number two, the competition in the NFC wasn't as stiff as it is this year. San Francisco wasn't itself. Seattle wasn't what they are now. Tampa Bay, didn't have Igbuka and Godwin wasn't available. There were limitations with them. Washington was on a come up, but they caught people by surprise. So when you look at a lot of stuff that was going on within the NFC, the Eagles were clearly a dominant fixture. You knew that you had to respect the Rams, Detroit, stuff like that. But the Eagles were head and shoulders above everybody else. They were the people everybody was chasing, and they weren't even the champions yet. That's not the case right now. You're chasing them because they're the champions. You understand they got that championship pedigree. We got that part. But it's tailed off a touch while others have elevated. Look at how Peter has talked to Seattle. Hell, he just took the red-eye flight last week from Seattle. You understand what I'm saying? What they about going on damn number football? We saw what LA did without Puka Nacua. Okay? San Francisco may have lost yesterday, but still in all, we've got to pay attention to them. We know what Tampa Bay can be when all their horses are in tow and they're healthy. Detroit ain't going anywhere. Okay? So I'm just looking at it and I'm saying you got to be on. You've got to have a touch of trepidation about the Eagles. That's all.
Stephen A., you know what's a beautiful thing? I'm new here at ESPN, last 6 months, whatever. Company man, though. Guess who plays Week 10 on Monday Night Football in Lambeau Field? Eagles versus Packers. We could talk about it all we want. We're going to see it in 2 weeks, which I cannot wait for. I think it's the game of the year, maybe. It's Eagles-Packers in Lambeau on a Monday Night Football. And you got to remember here, there was one team that was really against the tush push. One team that went to the league and said, we don't want to see the tush push. One team that proposed a rule change. It was them Green Bay Packers. We might have a little rivalry here, and this could be decided on the field, not necessarily on TV.
Yeah, packing my electric socks already for that game, Peter, because you know it's going to be cold.
I'm not. I ain't going.
That's fair.
I ain't trying to go to cold weather.
I feel that.
I ain't trying to go to cold weather.
Well, you guys touched on it there, and A.J. Brown sitting out. So let's talk about that, because despite that, the Eagles' offense still looked potent, even with A.J. Brown on the sidelines. Cam, with all the conversation about the state of Brown's happiness with the offense, do you think Philly is better off without him? That's a big statement, I know.
It's easy to kind of highlight the obvious that, yes, Nick Sirianni believes in still pushing forward and eliminating distractions. But when you got a person or when you got a team that's built off of chemistry, continuity, the flow, or as Stephen A. say, fluidness, these things does come up and raise the suspicion. Will they be better? Man, if they get rid of A.J. Brown, they'll be a fool. And absolutely not. There are certain qualities of great teams and certain qualities of game changers and dominant players that just comes with the territory. When you think about Michael Irvin, when you think about the greats of Randy Moss, when you think about the greats of even Jerry Rice, if you didn't think that they threw hissy fits every time they didn't get what they wanted in the football, they went into certain meetings and they threw temper tantrums on the sideline, as what some would look at it like, I'm just trying to help the team. It doesn't look good on the optics, but at the same time, we're more better with you as a part of our team. That just comes with the territory. And that's what the Philadelphia Eagles does know and understand, with dealing with a guy like A.J. Brown.
Yeah, every wide receiver could be different. You've got guys like A.J. Brown who might cause problems during the week and might be issues with the Twitter and the Instagram. But at the end of the day, give me him on Sunday and I'll take him. Like, there are guys like Andre Johnson and Jackson Smith-Njigba who say 3 words and just go about their business and take care of business. And then they'll show up and they'll bring it on the field and they won't be a problem. They won't ever be a locker room stuff. But at the end of the day, I've known Howie Roseman 20 years. Howie's into the business of acquiring funds, of acquiring assets. Howie's not in the business of getting rid of talented blue chip things for the sake of maybe long-term or the better of a locker room. Howie's feelings have always been, let's bring in the best talent we possibly can. Let's always look to acquire. To Cam earlier, whatever magic he has and whatever, dark arts and smelling salts he uses, Nick Sirianni finds a way to use all this toxicity to get the best product on Sundays and makes these guys at their best when they matters most. A.J. Brown is a blue chip wide receiver. The Eagles, they'll figure it out. They always do. This friction, it actually brings the best out of them somehow. And it's like you've got the friends who've got that toxic relationship with the opposite sex, maybe. And it's like, they're always fighting and yet they're so passionate.
What I would say to you, however, is this. Let me say this to you. I agree with Cam. I ain't thinking about letting go of A.J. Brown. But because he's a stud, the brother is special. And he's a man amongst boys when it's time. And you don't buy that and find that every day. Okay? And by the way, I don't think that the stuff that he has done has been earth-shattering. So what? He's a bit petulant at times or a bit cryptic, rather, in his own way. So what? Who cares? I get tired of everybody acting like folks got to be perfect all the damn time. You want stars? You want brothers that can produce? Sometimes it comes with it. Sometimes all you need is a glass of water and a little bit of quiet time to deal with them. Sometimes you need some Tylenol or some Motrin or some ibuprofen or something. I mean, sometimes it could be a headache. Get the hell over it. That's what happens, all right? And that's what we got to deal with. Here's what we have to say. Here's the only scenario in which I can see A.J. Brown being moved, if Howie Roseman deems so. Because I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. He's the best in the business. There's some good ones in the NFL. There is no NFL executive better than Howie Roseman. None. None. Look at his body of work. I don't give a damn you're going to come to me, Kansas City, you got Patrick Mahomes. You had some of the same way. When you think about the changeover from the Nick Foles Super Bowl to a Jalen Hurts Super Bowl appearance to a Jalen Hurts Super Bowl championship, and you see the shifts, the amalgamation of bodies and all, when you see all of this, Howie Roseman. And let's take into account this about Howie Roseman. Correct me if I'm wrong, Peter, because my memory might be a little bit foggy because I'm still drugged up on the tooth medication. Even though I don't look as much like a chipmunk as I did Friday.
Talk about the chip era. Let's go.
But if I remember correctly, Howie Roseman was there. He wasn't fired, but was essentially demoted when Chip Kelly arrived. Jeffrey Lurie, who I believe to be a gold standard, by the way, because I think he's an exceptional owner. Jeffrey Lurie did something, Cam. Think about what he did. He brings in a coach, gives him autonomy, but doesn't fire the guy that he once had in power. Keeps him in tow, but relegates him, lets him know to step back, let Chip Kelly do his thing, and then say, damn, I messed up. Howie, you go back up in there and do your thing. So Howie has the discipline, submerges his ego, doesn't trip, want to leave Philadelphia, abandon his job, shows loyalty to his owner, stays in tow, has that faith restored, answers it by delivering a Super Bowl champion with a backup because Carson Wentz gets hurt, okay? Then drafts Jalen Hurts as a second-round pick, goes to a Super Bowl with him, loses, keeps him, gets him back in a couple of years against the same opponent that beat him and whips their living ass. That's Howie Roseman. That's Howie Roseman. I don't know, Peter. I don't know, Peter, of any executive that can brag about that kind of resume. Howie Roseman, to me, is the best in the business. And if he says to me, somebody, even AJ, gotta go, I gotta stand down and go like this, well, he would know what he's talking about.
Let me quickly say this. He is like a phoenix who has risen from the ashes, but I'll also tell you this. When he was relegated to that side of the building and was told, let Chip do his thing, Howie didn't sit and sulk. Howie didn't sit and whine to us in the media. Howie went around and did basically a barnstorming tour of European soccer teams, of NBA teams. He spoke to R.C. Buford in San Antonio. He spoke to the folks who ran Manchester United and Liverpool. And he tried to do a learning experience to see what was the best thing that's working for the top caliber teams. He uses all of that now. A phenomenal story in sports management.
It is. It really is. It really, really is. When you talk about sports management, fellas, I mean, think about what we do, Cam. Think about the world of podcasting, MJ, Peter, podcasting, YouTube show, all of this other stuff. Ultimately, everything, if you're not in front of the camera, everything comes down to management. And when you look at an example of what management looks like, Howie Roseman has established himself as one of the elites in this business. One of the best. There's nothing, and I think the best in the NFL. The best in the NFL, period.
All right.